Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a little bit of maintenance now on my H&S Steenbeck Evolution airbrush. Once every now and then I ultrasound the airbrush, which I'll probably do a bit later, but for now I'm more concerned with just getting the airbrush working back at an optimal point there. So basically what happened was my 0.2 airbrush, 0.2 needle and nozzle, the nozzle split. This is the 0.2. And let me just try and show you. I don't know if you're going to see that or not, but let me go in. We turn this light off, see whether we get a better view of it. No, not really. Let's try and angle that. That's a shame, I can't. No. Maybe if I don't know. No, that's not showing up very well at all. I need to come sort something out for that. I think the camera's just not up to the job for close-up imaging. But trust me, it's split down the side, and you may wonder, well, how can I prevent this from happening? Well, there's two ways that this split has been caused. Now, one, you've probably all seen, if you're new to airbrushing, you may have recently seen one of the cleaning tools that you use. And I should have got this out before I started. But being a dumbass, I didn't. I really am so stupid at times. Let me see where it is. Oh, here it is. So when the paints get sort of dry up in the nozzle, and they will from time to time, you get this little device here, and it's just basically a very sharp point, and you go into your nozzle and you just scrape out any crap like that. But what I used to do was, you can push the point down like that, push the point down and it comes out the bottom. But the thing is, it also weakens the very front of the tip, and because this is quite sharp at the front, I'm guessing it sort of wears it away and cuts it. So that's one thing that you've just got to be careful of. You can still use it, just be aware, try not to force any paint through the nozzle end using this, because it will ultimately end up in the nozzle failing in some way. Oh, nearly dropped it. So what we're going to do for today is we're going to replace that nozzle. It's very easy, but to spice things up a bit, we are going to pretend that we don't have none of these numbers, none of these that tell us that this is a 0.4, well, no, it's 0.2 because the 0.4 is in there. And we're going to then, I'll show you how you can find out. So first of all, let's take this needle out so that it's ready. This will be the new, if I can just push you out, and some tweezers just to grab the end. Okay. So we don't know what size that is. Damn, will it match? You know, because if it's if the nozzle's 0.2 and that's 0.4, you won't get very good results at all. So I've only got one of these, so I'm going to take the barrel off the end first, and then I'm going to unscrew the clamp on the needle and pull the needle out. There's the needle. Now then, because I'm methodical, I've got certain ways I like to do things. I don't want to have the needle out any longer than it absolutely needs to be. So what I use for me is some surgical spirit, a couple of drops of cotton wool bud, whatever you want to call it. Give that needle, just wipe it down very gently. Try not to force pressure down on it, because you'll bend it, and that is equally destructive. And then you can see the dried bits coming off. I mean, you do get paint that sort of flows back up the barrel a little bit at times, especially if there's been a fault with it. If the barrel's not been on properly, the nozzle, I mean, and so there we go, just cleaning all that crap off there. Just examining the tip to make sure it's not badly bent or got a hook on the end. For that, you just drag it along your skin. If there's a hook on the end, you'll feel it. It will sort of tug at the skin. You'll know. You will notice. I do have a method if there's sort of slight hook on them. I have a way of straightening it out. Not perfect, obviously, but I'll cover that in another video. Oh, dog barking. Apologies for that. So that's that needle cleaned up. And we'll put that back there. Now, you'll notice that on the end of these needles there's a little mark, there's a little, if you like, in the end of the needle. And if you look at that, so that's got a little nick in the end of there. Now if you look at this one, you'll notice that this one does not have a nick in the end of it. So that's important. I'll tell you why in a minute. So this one's got a nick and that one hasn't. Similarly, if you look at the nozzle, and it's important to keep the nozzle with the needle it was used with. If you look at the nozzle, you'll notice on this one there is a thin strip and a thin rim at this end here. Again, apologies for the light, it's not brilliant. I'll pop that back in there. So how we tell what is what, I'll put a link in the description to a page which I found, which I didn't find, somebody showed me, and it basically, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. No, not having very much luck with this, but basically what we've got here is how to take needles and nozzles apart. So basically, on a nozzle, if it's got one wide notch on the nozzle, which is the little bit we're replacing, then it's a 0.4. If it's got no notch, it's 0.2, and if it's a 0.15 nozzle, it will have one narrow notch. This is for the needles, sorry. No, that is for the nozzles. So no notch. It would seem I have a 0.15 nozzle. I thought I had a 0.2. I need to look at my other. This could be a bit of a. Yes, it's alright. I have actually got them mixed up, so this has worked out great. This has worked out fine for me because I have got them mixed up. So 0.4 nozzle is one wide notch, and 0.2 nozzle is no notch, and a 0.15 nozzle is one narrow notch. So basically we've got, sure this is very, we've got no notch on that, and then on the needle we've got no notch on the needle. So the needle is a 0.15. We've got some pictures here to help. So that's 0.15. That's a 0.2. That's a 0.4. And what's this one here? This one's a lot bigger. That's a 0.4. So this is, that would seem to be a 0.4. Yeah, because I've got them mixed up, haven't I? So this is the 0.4 nozzle that I have out. So we know that that is a 0.4. I wish this phone would stay on. Yeah, it has one notch on. 0.15, 0.2, and this is a bigger one. Page I think has changed very slightly since I was last on. So anyway, yes, 0.4, so that goes in there. I need to just check that the needle is right, as I've had this little mix up, and it's very important to make sure these don't get mixed up. I normally only have one set out at a time, so this doesn't happen. And we've got a tiny little notch in the top. Which is, yeah, 0.4, one wide notch. Yeah. And we've got a picture of the needle to compare that with. No. Okay. So that's the 0.4 set back in there. So that's how we tell. Those of you with good memories won't have a problem. So, just going to double check now. This should be 0.2 because this is the needle that needs. This is the nozzle. So I'm checking up along the stem of the needle, and we've got no nozzles, no no notches or anything there. So I'm just going to check, and on the needle we are looking at no notch, is 0.2, excellent, and then the replacement part is nozzle, no, Ollie, be quiet, no notch, 0.2, so that's right, and then this should be, the damaged one should be a 0.2, which it is. So after all that kerfuffle, I apologise for that, it makes me a professional. So does that. Thank the Lord I did not have the lid off. Oh, that would have been devastating. So there we have it. That's the old one. This is the new one coming in. And like I say, you should normally, it's best to replace the needle at the same time. And you can see a huge difference in the tip ends there. Wow. I don't know if it's such a shame this camera's not up to it. I don't know, is that coming into focus or not? It's hard to tell on my computer screen. But basically there's a huge difference in the nozzle opening at the front. It's a lot bigger than it should have been. So let's pop the new one in. And I'm just going to pop that back on there for now because I'm going to give this a thorough clean. I'm sure many of you don't need to see that, but there we go. There's the old nozzle going back. I don't know. I don't think they're repairable. So I suppose I'll keep it just as a just in case emergency for priming maybe or something. I don't know. And that is that really. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye for now.